Hi everyone, welcome back to UiPath app series. In the last video, we saw how we can upload file to data services from UiPath. In today's video, we will going to make some of the fields as required. So let's go to the apps and click on the text box that you want it to be required field. Then you have to change this false value to true here. Now whichever control you want it as a required, you have to change the value to true. For status also, as status is a drop down, I want the user to select something, so I'll make it as a true required. So far the required fields here is issue name, ticket number and the status. Now the user should know which are the required fields, so for that you can put the asterisk sign here. So for now I'm putting the asterisk sign here. Similar way for ticket number, this is also required, and for status also. Now you have to click on the submit button and then events and edit rule. So here if you see, whatever I am submitting in the services, I have put that into the then section. Now in the if section, I have put this condition where it is checking whether the user has filled something or not. So you have to use is valid keyword here. So this is the control name, issue name dot is valid. Then again that for ticket number also I have put dot is valid property, and for drop down status also. Now whenever the user clicks on the submit button, all the three controls need to be filled, otherwise it will show the required field error. Let's see it. Now if you see here, if I click on the submit button, it is showing that I have to fill the required fields. So let me put something here, test. Now let me submit again. It is again saying fill required fields. Okay, so let me select this. So what you can do here also, you can put the asterisk sign, as anyways the user have to select yes or no. Now if the user is selecting yes here, so if you are watching this first time, I have already explained in my previous videos how we can hide show the controls when I'm clicking on yes and no button. So you can watch my previous video for this. So here when I'm clicking on yes button, then it is asking to put the ticket number and the status, which is again the required fields. So if you see, it is saying okay, fill required fields. Let me put some number here. Again it is saying fill required fields. Now you can click on status and then just click on submit button. The record is updated successfully. Now let me put the another record here, test 2, and then let me select it as a no, the IT ticket raised, and then if I click on the submit, it is still saying that fill required fields. Now how I want this to be happen, whenever I click on the yes button and when I click on submit button, then it should ask to fill these IT ticket number and status. But when I click on the no, in that case the only description should be required, but not the IT and status. Because anyways when I'm selecting no, the IT number and IT ticket number and the status is not here. So how we can do this dynamically? So let's go to the apps. Let me go to the main page again. For description also, let me put asterisk here, and I'll make it as true here. This is also required field anyways. After that, let me put the asterisk here also. Anyways the user have to select this. Now how we can make it dynamic, like whenever the option is selected as yes, then the required field is IT ticket number and status, and whenever it is no, then the required field is only description. So let's create a variable for that. uh, Bool is required ticket number and status, and then let me make it as a boolean value as a true false. Let me put some short name, is required ticket number and status. I think this is fine. Let me create another variable which is bool is required description. Again, let me select here true or false. Now you have to go to the control, and wherever we have given the value as true, just remove this and let's pass the variables. So you can pass the variable from here also, bool required ticket no, and for status also I'll clear out this. Let me provide the value as is required ticket no or status. For description let me provide the variable as bool is required description. So this, now here I have passed the variables dynamically. Now what we have to do, now whenever the user is selecting yes or no, that means some event is happening, correct? So what you have to do, whenever it is yes, I want the value to be false for the description. So set value, and then I have to choose the variable which is description, and the value I want to pass it as a false. I don't want this to be a required field whenever it is selecting as yes. But if it is selected as no, if it is selected as no, in that case, I don't want, let me set the value first. So in that case, what I want bool is required status to be false here. So whenever it is selected as no, that means IT ticket number and status should not be a required field. So for that, what you have to do, you have to come to the else condition, set value, and then for this one you have to make it as false. Now let's preview it. Now let's test this. So when I'm clicking on submit button, from where this message is coming, this message is coming, if you go to the submit, and then here you see in the else condition I'm printing this. So for now what I'll do, let me make it as a disable. Okay, whenever this condition is met, only then the app will going to push data to the data services, else there is some required field error. So you can put the message box here. Let me enable it. So this message box will going to show you, it's a generic message box anyways, it will not going to show you exactly which field is required, which you have filled, which has you have not filled. If you want to make it more dynamic, then you have to put more if conditions accordingly. So for now it is generic for all. Whenever the user is not filling anything in the required fields, it will show this message. Now let me click on submit button. So whenever I'm skipping the issue name and clicking on the issue description, you will see it will say the required field is there. So let me put something here. Now let me click the submit button. Oops. Something is going wrong. this should be required. So what I have to do here, let me go to this general and let me make it true. Now the user have to select yes and no in this case. So let me preview it. Okay, so when I'm clicking on submit, let's try again. It is showing fill required fields. Now if user click on this and it directly skip to issue description, then it will say required field. Okay, so let me put something here, test 1 2 3, and then let me try to submit it. Fill required fields but record is updated. So you have to remember it. So remember always, if you have given a required field as true for any control, you have to pass the condition here. In the if condition, you have to basically put the root for that particular control, whether it is valid or not. If it is valid, only then you have to do a certain task, otherwise it will come out. Now that's what it is happening here. So I have added the radio button ticket is valid, and then let's try here. Let me put something. Now field is required. Now it is not submitting, you see the data. uh, Let me select something. Let me select yes. When I'm clicking on submit, the record is updated. Something is going wrong when I'm okay. Let me preview it again. So let me test it. Initially it is saying fill required fields. So let me fill something here. Then if I click yes and then submit, it is saying record is updated. IT ticket number and the status is true, right? Whenever it is yes, it should be true. So let me come to the main page again. So whenever it is yes, the bool is required description is false. We don't want the required field for description when it is clicked as yes, uh, which is false. But for ticket and status, we want it as a true. Let me add this condition also here. Similar way. Uh, False. Let me make it true here. Set value true. Okay. Now what I'm doing here, I'm just assigning false value to required description and true value to ticket and no status whenever it is selected as yes, and then vice versa for else condition. Let me try it now. Let's test it again. So for now it is required field. Let me put something. Okay, I've selected this. Okay, now I think this is fine. Let me give some number here, and status, I'll select the status later. Let me submit it. Okay, which is fine. Let me click success and then submit. Oh great, it is submitting now. So what I'll do again, let me put some issue name, submit. It is asking to fill the required fields, so I'm going to select no here now. Then let's click on submit again. here it is causing some issue. Whenever I'm clicking on no, it should not get submitted because description is required field here. So let me come down and see. This required description is true, this is false. Okay, I think this is fine. And description bool is required description, this is also fine. What is happening exactly? Let me figure out. Required field, no. Okay, for description I think I missed something. Let's go to the submit button. Let's see the condition here. Radio button, ticket number and drop down is there, but for description I have not put the condition. So let me put the condition for description also. So for description, text description, let me check the ID for this, which is text description only. Now let me preview it. So what we have learned from here is, it's whenever you are making any field as a required, you always have to pass it into the condition, the if condition. Now let's try again. Let me click on submit button. So it is asking to fill required fields. Let me fill all required fields. Now let me submit again. Fill required fields. So I have missed the description. Let me fill out this. Now if you see, it is submitting the records. So if you are new to this channel and you're watching this video first time, you can visit my UiPath app series, where from the starting I have shown everything, how we have designed the form and how we have made the things as a hide and show, and how we have binded the controls. So let's meet in the next video. Have a great day.